Hello, today is Sunday, February 7th, 2021, and I wanted to make this video. This video has been something that I've been needing to talk about for a very long time, and I felt like today was the perfect time to do it before I release any more episodes of Bball Pro Insider. I have to say this is very important to my message. And as a former professional athlete, I just want to make this very clear to my audience how I feel about the game and where the game is going. This video is called Straight Talk from a former WNBA player. This is, again, something very personal, something that I never imagined that I would be sharing, but I think it is so important. Been watching the NBA for the past month now, and it's just, to me, before I can provide any more commentary each day about the NBA, I have to say this, and I have to use my own experiences to illustrate so that I can explain to the audience where I'm coming from. So when I played in the WNBA, I felt like I got way more unfair calls than I ever deserved. I felt like I was targeted in a lot of ways, and I really think that it was probably the most damaging aspect of my professional career, was how much that affected me, these calls from officials. And I know it seems so juvenile with officiating, but it's really not. It's very serious. And I could give a lot of examples, and I might give some examples, but I knew as a player and that it was a fight that I couldn't really fight. I knew there was nothing I could really do about it, so I didn't say anything. I used cognitive dissonance in order to get through day after day, game after game of not having the right calls, injustice, basically. And the way that I justified it to myself was, I said, perception is reality. I always tell myself, perception is reality, meaning if the ref or the official perceives that to be, then it is. It doesn't matter if I know the truth. It doesn't matter what I saw. It doesn't matter what the coach saw. It doesn't matter what anyone saw. It's about what the ref saw and what the ref called. So that was the way that I got over the injustice that I suffered in the WNBA, but I also felt like there was something that didn't sit right with me, but I knew there was nothing I could do about it. And just for an example of what I'm talking about, when I was a rookie in the WNBA, I led the league in getting foul calls. I was fouled the most. I was right up there. It was me and Diana Taurasi, and I was the most fouled player. Got to the free throw line the most, and in one season, in the blink of an eye, all of a sudden, I got no calls from that point on. For the rest of my career, I had an 8-year career in the WNBA. For the rest of my career, after my rookie season, you can look it up. After my rookie season, leading the league and getting fouled, because I was getting fouled and that was the right calls, I all of a sudden never got any calls anymore. Then, come to find out, I heard through the grapevine that coaches had been complaining about me getting too many calls. Players were complaining, and the whole WNBA world was complaining about me getting foul calls. And lo and behold, for the rest of my career, I never got calls ever again after that. So this is where I'm really speaking from, and that was very damaging for me. And so I'm only using that as a reference, but that's really where I'm coming to now, and that's where I'm speaking from. Back then, as a player, I couldn't see what I can see now. Now I'm a retired couch potato, so I'm observing the game in a whole new light. And I really feel like this is an important message for me to submit. I just feel like I need to create this PSA before I continue with my commentary, which I will continue. In the NBA, I see how much the officials, the officiating, controls everything. It's the most critical aspect of the game. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's the most absolute critical component of wins and losses determined in the NBA. And I wish now the same thing that I wished back then for myself, which was that there was a way to remove this bias from the officiating. I wish that it could be more fair. How can it be more fair? Well, you get rid of bias. That's how you make things fair. If there was more effort in making the calls accurately reflect the game and accurately reflect the effort that is put in those 4 lines, that rectangle court. When you cross over the line, I wish there was more effort to accurately reflect that effort. At this moment, it is not like that. And before I continue, I know you would say, well, can bias ever really be eliminated? Can any kind of bias ever really be eliminated? Well, no, but I am putting this out there because I feel like the NBA officials have an opportunity. They have an opportunity now in this season to change everything that has been happening in the professional sport since I was a player. I got drafted in 2008. It is now 2021. So 13 years this has been happening. And right now we're at a point where it's so early in the season that I feel like this is a great opportunity for referees to officiate the game by checking their own bias and bettering the calls that they make and better their performance so that the equality of the league and most of all the integrity of the league can finally be elevated to a level that it has never been at. And I know this probably comes across as very, very harsh, but I feel like this one correction, this one change can actually save the sport of basketball. Not that the sport needs saving, but at the rate it's going and the way that the officials control the game and the way that they allow their biases to influence their calls, I just feel like it's just very harmful, and especially at the NBA level, which is the most watched. So I just think that more than just saving the sport of basketball, especially the professional sport, I feel like this can also teach society about lessons of equality and fairness in a clear and accessible way. Much like how the umpires, when Jackie Robinson was breaking the color barrier, integrating the sport of baseball, how even if the umpires had a feeling about him, they still checked their biases in a way that was probably almost impossible for them to do, but they did it, and look what happened. Now, we're not living in the 1920s or the 1930s. This is 2020s now that we're living in. So, of course, it's not the same. Of course, things are different. In this technological, modern society, the sports platform and the influence that the sports platform has is a lot more fleeting than it ever was in the past. I understand this. So I'm not asking for the whole world to just change overnight, but just this little one component, the bias of the officiating in the NBA, can do so much to preserve the integrity of the sport and the effort and the lifelong journey that people, human beings as players, go through and endure to get to the stage where they can perform in front of millions, for millions of dollars. So my hope and wish for this 2021 NBA season would be a focus in making fair and accurate calls, completely free of bias. That would be my wish. 2021 season. For the officials to make fair and accurate calls, free of bias. And a lot of times it's influenced by both coaches and players, and their own, obviously their own internal bias as well. I really believe that we will see a new birth of basketball. I believe that doing this will inspire not only just our sport, but also a society that isn't completely adjusted to the idea of equality and fairness. So with that being said, I will still continue providing commentary, but I just felt it was very necessary for me to make this announcement because it's something that I just want to see changed. And I don't think that it has to be this drastic change overnight, but if each individual official could check their own bias and better their own performance, it would be a world of a difference. It would be a world of a difference. And yes, as players, the way we conduct ourselves is so important. To any player out there, I would give you the advice that I had to give myself in the WNBA, which is perception is reality. So even if you perceive it one way, it doesn't make it reality. In the game of basketball, those officials between those four lines, they control the reality. So players, my message to you is the same message I gave myself, which is perception is reality. You have to. Otherwise, cognitive dissonance will not allow you to move forward as a player, even when things are not fair. So thank you for watching this video, if you made it all the way through, and I hope that you continue to follow my Bball Pro Insider series because it is something that I'm really enjoying, but I just had to put that out there before I continue because I just felt like it's something that needed to be said. So I hope to see you in my next video.